Are you alright?
Friends.
What happened
A
here?
soldier risked his life in war, sending money home every
They took
month,
the supplies.
believing his family was safe.
Who took them?
But back
Who
home,
is helping
his
you?
wife and child were starving, slowly
No
dying in
one.
silence, while someone
My
he
mother.
trusted lived in comfort. Watch until the end, because at the end we reveal the secret, the truth that broke a family apart. But before that, please write in the comments where you are from. Hopefully those who have liked and subscribed to this channel will always be given health and have their fortunes smooth, their debts paid off. Amen. Now, let me tell you a story that will stay in your heart long after it ends. The boy had stopped crying. Not because he was full. Not because he was comforted. But because he had no strength left to cry. His small body lay on a thin mat on the cold floor, his lips dry, his eyes half open but unfocused. The room around him was quiet in a way that felt wrong, like even the air was too tired to move. A single metal plate sat beside him, empty except for a few grains of rice stuck to the edge. Flies circled slowly, landing, leaving, coming back again as if they knew there was nothing left to take. Across the room, his mother sat against the wall, her back bent, her head slightly lowered. She had not moved in a long time. Her hands rested on her lap, trembling without control. Her eyes were open, but they were not really looking at anything. She had been staring at the same spot for what felt like hours. Then the boy tried to move. It was a small movement, just a weak attempt to turn his head. His fingers twitched. His lips parted, but no sound came out. Not even a whisper. That was when his mother finally noticed. She pushed herself up slowly, her body heavy as if it no longer belonged to her. Each step toward him felt like she was walking through deep water. When she reached him, she knelt down, her knees hitting the floor harder than she expected. Emeka, her voice was dry, almost breaking before it came out. She lifted his head gently and placed it on her lap. His skin felt too warm. His breathing was shallow, uneven. She pressed her hand against his chest, feeling the weak rhythm of his heart. "Stay with me, please." But her voice carried no strength. It was not a command. It was not even hope. It was just a tired sound, like someone who had already lost too much. Outside, the sun was high, but inside the room, it felt like night. A neighbor's voice echoed faintly from the distance. Laughter. Life. Normal life that felt very far away from this small, silent room. Then a shadow appeared at the doorway. It was Mama Ada, the woman from next door. She stood there for a moment, looking inside, her face slowly changing as she took in what she saw. "What is this?" she whispered, stepping in. She rushed forward and knelt beside them. Her hands moved quickly, touching the boy's forehead, then his arms, then his face. "This child has not eaten, for how long?" The mother did not answer immediately. Her lips moved, but no words came out. She swallowed, trying to find her voice. I don't know anymore." Mama Ada looked at her sharply. "What do you mean you don't know? Where is your husband?" "He is a soldier. He sends money, doesn't he?" The mother closed her eyes. That question had become a knife she had every day. He is working," she said slowly. "He is far away." "That is not what I asked," Mama Ada said, her voice rising slightly. "Does he send money or not?" Silence. The kind of silence that answers everything. Mama Ada leaned back slightly, her expression turning from confusion to disbelief. "So all this time, he has not sent anything?" The mother shook her head, slowly, weakly. "I have not seen anything, not 1 naira." Mama Ada's eyes widened. "That is not possible," she said firmly. "Men like him, they send money. Especially soldiers. They know what their families go through." The mother said nothing. Because deep inside, she did not know what to believe anymore. Far away from that small, quiet house, in a place filled with noise, dust, and danger, her husband was still alive. Gunfire echoed across the dry land, sharp and sudden, breaking the air again and again. Soldiers moved quickly, shouting orders, ducking behind broken walls and abandoned vehicles. The ground was rough, the heat heavy, the smell of smoke and metal filling every breath. Among them was a man named Sonny. His uniform was covered in dust, his face tired but focused. Sweat ran down his neck, but he did not wipe it. His eyes stayed fixed ahead, alert, careful, alive. A loud explosion shook the ground nearby. "Move! Move!" someone shouted. Sonny dropped low, pressing himself behind a piece of broken concrete. His heart pounded, but his hands were steady as he held his rifle. This was not new to him. He had been here long enough to understand that fear had no place if you wanted to survive. But even in the middle of chaos, even with death just a few steps away, there was something else in his mind. A memory. A small boy laughing. A woman smiling. A home. That was what kept him going. That was what made every bullet, every danger, every sleepless night worth it. Because he believed, with all his heart, that back home, they were safe. Later that evening, after the noise had settled and the soldiers had returned to their temporary camp, Sonny sat on a wooden crate outside his tent. The sky above was dark, filled with stars that looked too calm for a place like this. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. It showed his wife and his son. His wife stood behind the boy, her hands resting gently on his shoulders. The boy was smiling widely, his eyes bright, full of life. Sonny looked at the picture for a long time. Then he smiled. They must be fine, he murmured to himself. He reached into his bag and took out his phone. The signal was weak, but he tried anyway. A message appeared on the screen. From his mother. I received the money. Everything is okay here. Your wife and child are fine. Do not worry. Focus on your work. He read it once. Then again. Then he nodded slowly, a sense of relief washing over him. Thank you, Mama, he whispered. He leaned back slightly, holding the phone in his hand. He had sent more money this time. More than usual. Because he wanted them to be comfortable. Because he wanted his son to eat well. Because he wanted his wife to rest, not struggle. Because he loved them. And because he trusted the one person he believed would never betray him. His mother. Back in the village, the night had fallen. The room was darker now, the silence even heavier. The boy's breathing had become slower. His mother sat beside him, holding his hand, her thumb gently moving over his small fingers. Mama Ada had brought some water and a little food earlier, but it was not enough. It was never enough. The mother looked at her son's face. Then she whispered softly, almost to herself. Your father is a good man, he would never forget us. But even as she said it, her voice trembled. Because somewhere deep inside, a question had started to grow. A quiet, painful question. One that she had been trying not to ask. And outside, under the same sky, in a different world, her husband closed his eyes peacefully, believing his family was safe. He did not know that everything he believed was a lie. The morning came slowly, but it did not bring relief. The small room still carried the same silence, the same weight, the same emptiness. The only difference was the light that entered through the broken window, falling softly on the boy's face. His chest moved slightly, rising and falling in a weak rhythm that did not look strong enough to last the day. His mother had not slept. She had remained sitting beside him through the night, her back against the wall, her hand resting on his arm as if letting go would make him disappear. Her eyes were red, not just from tears, but from exhaustion that had gone too far. When Mama Ada returned in the morning, she did not knock. She stepped inside quickly, carrying a small bowl and a cup. I brought pap, she said, her voice urgent but controlled. He needs something soft. The mother nodded slowly, but her body did not move at first. It took a moment before she gathered herself and helped lift the boy slightly. Mama Ada fed him carefully, small drops at a time. Some went in. Some spilled down the side of his mouth. It was not much, but it was something. They walked in silence. Then Mama Ada spoke again, this time more firmly. This cannot continue. The mother looked up, her eyes tired. I know. No, Mama Ada said, shaking her head. You do not understand. This is not about knowing. This is about doing something. She placed the bowl aside and faced her directly. You said your husband sends nothing. But I do not believe that. The mother looked confused. Why? Because men like him do not forget their families, Mama Ada replied. And even if they do, not like this. Not completely. The mother lowered her gaze. I have waited, for so long, she said quietly. I kept thinking maybe something happened. Maybe he could not send. Maybe he forgot. I do not know anymore. Mama Ada leaned closer. Who receives the money? The question landed heavily. My mother-in-law, she answered slowly. And his older sister. He told me before he left. He said they would help take care of us. Mama Ada's expression changed. Have you ever seen the money yourself? The mother shook her head. No. Have they ever given you anything? Even once. Another slow shake of the head. No. Silence filled the space between them. Mama Ada leaned back slightly, her face now serious in a different way. Then something is wrong. Across the village, not too far away, life looked very different. In a large compound surrounded by a high fence, laughter could be heard. The house stood tall, freshly painted, with clean windows and a wide front yard. A car was parked under a shade, its surface shining under the morning sun. Inside, the atmosphere was lively. Two women sat at a table filled with food. Plates of rice, meat, and fresh fruit covered the surface. One of them, an older woman with a confident posture, wore a bright wrapper and matching head tie. The other, younger but equally comfortable, leaned back in her chair as she laughed. This meat is perfect, the younger one said, taking another bite. We should cook like this every day. The older woman smiled. Why not? There is enough. She reached for her phone, checking the screen briefly. A message was open. Sent successfully. She nodded slightly, satisfied. Her name was Mama Sonny. And the younger woman was her daughter. The same daughter who had helped her receive every single transfer Sonny had sent. 4 years. Did he send again? The daughter asked casually. Mama Sonny nodded. Yes. Early this morning. How much this time? The older woman mentioned the amount quietly. The daughter's eyes widened. That much. Mama Sonny smiled again, but this time there was something else behind it. He works hard, she said. He trusts us. They both laughed softly. Neither of them mentioned the woman and child living just a few streets away. Neither of them mentioned the empty house, the hunger, the suffering. To them, it did not exist. Back in the small room, the air felt heavier as the day moved on. The boy had fallen into a weak sleep after taking a little food. His breathing was still uneven, but slightly better than before. His mother sat beside him, but her mind was no longer still. Mama Ada's words had planted something inside her. A thought she had been avoiding. A possibility she did not want to face. But now, it refused to go away. What if, she whispered to herself. She stood up slowly, her legs unsteady. Mama Ada watched her. What are you doing? I need to go there, she said. To where? To my mother-in-law's house. Mama Ada's expression sharpened. Good. The mother hesitated. I have never gone like this before. Then it is time, Mama Ada replied. Because whatever is happening, it is not normal. The mother looked back at her son. I will not be long, she said softly. Mama Ada nodded. I will stay with him. The walk felt longer than usual. Each step carried weight, not just from her weak body, but from the thoughts running through her mind. Memories came back. The day her husband left. The way he held her hands and said, take care of our son. I will send money. You will not suffer. She had believed him. She still wanted to believe him. But now, something did not add up. When she finally reached the compound, she stopped at the gate. It was larger than she remembered. Cleaner. Richer. Her eyes moved slowly, taking everything in. The car. The fresh paint. The sound of laughter from inside. Her heart began to beat faster. She pushed the gate open. Inside, the two women were still seated at the table. They looked up at the same time. For a moment, no one spoke. The younger one was the first to react. What are you doing here? Her tone was not welcoming. The mother stood still, unsure of how to begin. I came to see you, she said. Mama Sonny looked at her from head to toe. Her eyes paused briefly on the worn clothes, the thin frame, the tired face. Then she leaned back slightly. Why? The question was simple. But it carried distance. The mother swallowed. I wanted to ask. She stopped. The words felt stuck. The daughter rolled her eyes. Speak clearly. The mother took a breath. My husband, he sends money, right? The room went quiet. For a second, just a second, something shifted in Mama Sonny's face. But it disappeared quickly. Of course he sends money, she said calmly. Then, where is it? The mother asked, her voice barely steady. Another silence. This one heavier. The daughter leaned forward. What do you mean, where is it? We have nothing, the mother said, her voice rising slightly. My child is starving. I have not seen any money. The words hung in the air. The truth was now spoken. And it could not be taken back. Mama Sonny placed her phone down slowly. Then she stood up. Her expression changed. Not to guilt. Not to shock. But to something colder. You should watch how you speak, she said quietly. The mother's heart pounded. I am only asking. You are accusing, the daughter cut in sharply. I am not accusing. I just. You are saying we are stealing, the daughter said, her voice louder now. The mother shook her head quickly. No. I just don't understand. Then go and understand somewhere else, the daughter snapped. Mama Sonny stepped forward. You come into my house and speak like this, she said. After everything we do. What have you done? The mother asked, her voice breaking. The question slipped out before she could stop it. And that was the moment everything changed. The air turned tense. The distance between them disappeared. The words had already crossed the line. There was no way to pull them back. The moment she asked, what have you done, the air inside the compound changed completely. The warmth that had once existed between them, even if it had been thin, disappeared. What remained was something cold, sharp, and heavy. Mama Sonny's face tightened. For a few seconds, she did not speak. She just looked at her, slowly, from head to toe again. This time, the look was not curious. It was judging. Measuring. Dismissing. You have become very bold, she said finally, her voice calm but carrying weight. The daughter stood up from her chair, folding her arms. Too bold, she added. Someone who cannot even feed herself is asking questions. The mother felt her throat tighten. She had not come to fight. She had not come to accuse. She had come for answers. But now, everything felt wrong. I am not trying to disrespect anyone, she said carefully. I only want to understand. My child is hungry. I have nothing left. If money is coming, I need to know where it is going. Mama Sonny laughed softly. Not the kind of laugh that brings comfort. The kind that makes everything feel smaller. You said you have nothing, she repeated. So you decided to come here and blame us. I am not blaming, the mother said again, her voice weaker now. I am asking. You are accusing, the daughter said sharply. Say it properly. Silence followed. The mother looked at both of them. Something inside her began to shift. Not anger. Not yet. But something deeper. Something that had been building quietly for a long time. I have waited, she said slowly. I have waited and waited. I believed what I was told. I believed that things would change. I believed that help would come. But nothing came. Not once. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. My child almost died yesterday. I had to watch him lie on the floor with no strength to cry. And now I come here and I see food. I see comfort. I see everything that we do not have. Her eyes moved around the room. The table. The plates. The fresh food. The clean surroundings. Her voice dropped. Tell me, how is that possible? The question settled heavily between them. For a brief moment, no one spoke. Then Mama Sonny stepped closer. Her expression did not change. You are talking too much, she said quietly. The daughter moved beside her. This is not your house, she added. You do not come here and speak like this. The mother swallowed. Her hands trembled slightly. I am your son's wife, she said. And that child is your grandson. The words came out stronger this time. Not loud. But firm. And that was the mistake. Mama Sonny's eyes hardened. Do not remind me, she said. The room went still. The mother blinked. She did not understand. What do you mean? Mama Sonny took another step forward. I said do not remind me, she repeated. I know who you are. I know where you came from. I know the kind of woman my son chose. The daughter smirked slightly. He made a mistake, she said. And now we are all paying for it. The mother felt something drop inside her chest. A heavy, painful drop. I have done nothing wrong, she said, her voice breaking. Exactly, the daughter replied quickly. You have done nothing. That is the problem. The words hit harder than expected. The mother stood there, trying to hold herself together. I take care of my child, she said. I stay at home. I wait. I trust. What else should I do? Mama Sonny shook her head slowly. You should have known your place, she said. From the beginning. Silence again. But this time, it was different. It was no longer confusion. It was realization. Something was starting to become clear. Slowly. Painfully. The mother looked at them both. Then she asked the question again. But this time, her voice was different. More direct. More certain. Where is the money? No hesitation. No softness. Just truth. The daughter scoffed. You really want to go there? Yes, the mother said. Mama Sonny sighed, as if she was tired of the conversation. We have used it, she said simply. The words seemed to pause. The words were too plain. Too easy. Too heavy. Used it, the mother repeated. Yes, Mama Sonny replied. For the family. What family? The mother asked, her voice rising. This family, the daughter said, spreading her hands around the room. The mother's eyes widened. And my child, she asked. Is he not part of this family? No one answered. That silence said everything. Her breath became uneven. You took everything, she whispered. And left us with nothing. The daughter shrugged. You are still alive, aren't you? The words landed like a slap. The mother stepped back slightly. Her legs felt weak. Her heart beat loudly in her chest. I waited for help, she said. I believed you. I defended you. Even when people asked me why we had nothing, I said maybe you were saving for us. Mama Sonny looked away briefly. Not from guilt. But from boredom. You talk too much, she said again. I trusted you, the mother continued, her voice shaking more now. He trusted you. At the mention of her son, Mama Sonny's expression changed slightly. But it was not enough. He does not need to know everything, she said. That was it. That was the moment. The final piece. The truth was no longer hiding. It was standing right there. Clear. Ugly. Real. The mother felt her body go still. So you lied to him, she said. No one denied it. No one explained. They did not even try. Because to them, it did not matter. That hurt more than anything. I will tell him, she said suddenly. The words came out before she could stop them. Mama Sonny's eyes snapped back to her. You will do no such thing. I will, the mother said again, this time stronger. He deserves to know the truth. The daughter laughed. And how will you do that? She asked. Do you even have his number? Do you even know how to reach him? The mother froze. The question hit a weak spot. She did not have a way. She had always relied on them. Always. The daughter stepped closer. You see, she said softly. You need us. Without us, you are nothing. The words settled deep. But this time, something inside the mother did not break. It changed. Slowly. Quietly. She looked at both of them. Then she turned. Without another word. She walked toward the door. No one stopped her. No one called her back. To them, the conversation was over. To her, it had just begun. Outside, the sun felt too bright. The world looked the same. But nothing felt the same. Each step back home felt heavier than the last. Her mind replayed every word. Every look. Every silence. The truth was now clear. And it hurt more than anything she had imagined. When she reached her small house, she paused at the door. She took a breath. Then another. Then she stepped inside. Mama Ada looked up immediately. What happened? The mother did not answer right away. She walked to her son and knelt beside him. He was still breathing. Still fighting. Still holding on. She touched his face gently. Then she spoke. They took everything. Mama Ada went still. What? They took everything he sent, the mother repeated. All of it. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Unavoidable. Mama Ada's face changed slowly. From confusion. To anger. To something stronger. This is not something we ignore, she said firmly. The mother nodded slowly. I will not stay like this, she said quietly. Mama Ada leaned closer. What will you do? The mother looked at her son again. Then she spoke. I will find a way to reach him. The room no longer felt the same. It was still small. Still empty. Still carrying the same smell of dust and hunger. But something inside it had shifted. The silence was no longer just weakness. It had become heavy with thought, with planning, with a quiet kind of resistance. The boy lay on the mat, his breathing still fragile, but there was a slight change. The little food he had taken earlier had helped, just enough to keep him going. His chest rose slowly, uneven but steady enough to give his mother something to hold on to. She sat beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Her eyes were no longer empty. They were thinking. Mama Ada stood near the doorway, watching her carefully. You said you will find a way, Mama Ada said after a long silence. How? The mother did not answer immediately. She had asked herself that same question over and over. How do you reach a man who is far away in a place where even his voice feels distant? How do you break through a wall built by the very people he trusts? She swallowed slowly. I do not know yet, she said. But I will not sit and wait anymore. Mama Ada nodded. That is good, she replied. Because waiting is what they want. The word settled deep. Waiting had become her life. Waiting for money. Waiting for help. Waiting for change. And all that time, everything had been taken from her. She looked down at her son. No more waiting. Across the village, inside the large compound, the atmosphere was calm again. Too calm. Mama Sonny sat in the same place as before, her phone in her hand. Her face showed no sign of the confrontation that had happened earlier. If anything, she looked more relaxed. Her daughter walked into the room, holding a glass of juice. She came here with a lot of courage today, she said, sitting down. Mama Sonny did not look up. She will calm down, she replied. And if she does not? Mama Sonny finally lifted her eyes. Then we will handle it. The daughter leaned forward slightly. She said she would tell him. Mama Sonny's lips tightened for a moment. She cannot, she said. She does not have his number. The daughter nodded slowly. That is true. Mama Sonny tapped her phone lightly. He only contacts me, she added. Everything passes through me. That is how it has always been. The daughter smiled faintly. And it will stay that way. Mama Sonny did not respond. But her silence carried agreement. Far away, the heat was already rising. The camp was waking up. Soldiers moved around, preparing for another long day. Some cleaned their weapons. Others checked supplies. The air was filled with quiet tension, the kind that never fully disappears in a place like this. Sonny sat on the edge of his bed, holding his phone. He had woken up earlier than usual. Something had disturbed his sleep. Not a sound. Not a dream. Just a feeling. A small, uncomfortable feeling that he could not explain. He stared at the screen. No new messages. He scrolled up, reading the last message from his mother again. Everything is okay here. Your wife and child are fine. He had read those words many times. They had always brought him peace. But today, something felt different. He leaned back slightly, his mind drifting. He remembered his wife's face. The way she looked at him the day he left. Not with fear. But with trust. He remembered his son's laughter. Small, loud, full of life. He closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them again. I should call, he muttered to himself. It had been a while. Too long. He had always depended on his mother's updates. But maybe it was time to hear their voices directly. He picked up his phone and started dialing. The signal flickered. Weak. unstable. He waited. The call did not go through. He tried again. Nothing. He frowned slightly. Then he stopped. I will try later, he said quietly. But the feeling did not leave. Back in the village, the sun had moved higher. The mother stood outside her house, looking at the road. People passed by, going about their day. Normal life. But for her, nothing was normal anymore. She turned to Mama Ada. Do you know anyone who can help me reach him? Mama Ada thought for a moment. There is one person, she said slowly. But I am not sure. Who? A man who works at the telecom shop near the main road, Mama Ada replied. Sometimes soldiers come there to send messages. He might know something. The mother's eyes lifted slightly. Where is it? Mama Ada pointed. Not too far. But you will need strength. The mother looked back inside. Her son was still lying down. Still weak. Still depending on her. I cannot leave him for long, she said. I will stay, Mama Ada replied quickly. Go. Find a way. The mother hesitated. Then she nodded. She wrapped her scarf tightly around her head and stepped forward. The road felt longer than it should have. Each step pulled at her strength. But she kept moving. Because now, she had something she did not have before. A direction. When she reached the small telecom shop, she stopped for a moment. It was a simple place. A wooden structure with wires hanging loosely, a small counter, and a man sitting behind it. He looked up as she approached. Yes, he asked. I need help, she said. He leaned back slightly. What kind of help? My husband is a soldier, she said. He is far away. I need to reach him. The man studied her face. Do you have his number? She hesitated. No. Then it will be difficult, he replied. I know his full name, she added quickly. And where he is stationed. The man scratched his chin. That might help, he said slowly. But it is not simple. I just need to send a message, she said. Anything. The man looked at her again. There was something in her eyes. Something desperate. Something real. Write it down, he said finally, pushing a small piece of paper toward her. Her hands trembled as she took it. She stared at the blank space. What do you write when everything is broken? What do you say when time is running out? She swallowed. Then she began to write. Simple words. Direct. Honest. We have nothing. Your child is starving. Please come home or call me. Something is wrong. She handed it back. The man read it silently. Then he nodded. I will try, he said. But I cannot promise. That is enough, she replied softly. Back at the compound, Mama Sonny's phone buzzed. She looked at it. A new notification. She opened it slowly. Her eyes moved across the screen. Then her face changed. Not fully. But enough. The daughter noticed. What is it? Mama Sonny did not answer immediately. She locked the phone and placed it on the table. Nothing, she said. But her voice was different. The daughter narrowed her eyes. Let me see. Mama Sonny shook her head. It is nothing important. The daughter did not push further. But something had shifted. Far away, in the middle of noise and dust, Sonny's phone vibrated. He picked it up quickly. A message. Not from his mother. From an unknown source. He opened it. And as his eyes moved across the words, everything inside him stopped. The air around him faded. The noise disappeared. The world became quiet. Too quiet. He read it again. And again. His hand tightened around the phone. His breathing changed. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And for the first time since he left home, he felt it clearly. Not as a thought. Not as a doubt. But as truth. Something had been hidden from him. And now, it was starting to break through. The noise of the camp returned slowly, but it no longer sounded the same. Voices were still shouting orders. Boots still moved across dry ground. Metal still clanged against metal. But for Sonny, everything felt distant, like he was hearing it from far away. His eyes stayed on the phone. The message did not change. We have nothing. Your child is starving. Please come home or call me. Something is wrong. He read it again. Then again. Each time, the words felt heavier. His chest tightened. His breathing became slower, deeper, but not calm. This was not confusion anymore. This was something else. Something sharp. Something that did not fit with everything he had believed. He stood up slowly, still holding the phone. One of his fellow soldiers noticed him. You good? The man asked casually. Sonny did not answer. He walked a few steps away, his mind moving fast now. This did not make sense. His mother had just told him everything was fine. She had said his wife and child were okay. She had said there was no problem. But this message was not written by someone who was okay. This was written by someone who had reached the end. He pressed his hand against his forehead. No, he muttered. Something is wrong. He tried to call immediately. The signal flickered. Weak. Unstable. The call failed. He tried again. Nothing. His jaw tightened. He walked further away, searching for a stronger signal. Still nothing. Frustration rose quickly. Not loud. Not explosive. But deep. Dangerous. He stopped and looked at the message again. There was no mistake. No confusion. No misunderstanding. His wife would not write this unless it was real. Unless it was serious. Unless she had no other choice. His hand tightened around the phone. Why didn't I call sooner? He whispered. The thought hit him harder than expected. He had trusted updates. He had believed everything was handled. He had focused on surviving here, thinking everything back home was stable. Now, that belief was breaking. Piece by piece. Back in the village, the sun had begun to lower slightly. The mother returned slowly from the telecom shop. Her steps were tired, but there was something else now. A quiet kind of tension. Not fear. Not exactly hope. But waiting. She pushed the door open gently. Mama Ada looked up immediately. What happened? I sent a message, she said. Mama Ada nodded. Good. The mother moved toward her son. He was still lying down, but his eyes were slightly more open now. Weak. But aware. She knelt beside him. Emeka, she said softly. His lips moved slightly. No clear words. But he heard her. She touched his face gently. I am here. Mama Ada stepped closer. Will he reply? She asked. The mother did not look up. I do not know, she said. But now he knows, Mama Ada replied. That was true. And that alone changed something. Across the compound, the atmosphere had shifted. Not loudly. Not openly. But underneath, something was moving. Mama Sonny sat alone now. Her daughter had stepped out for a while. The phone was still on the table. Locked. Silent. But her eyes kept returning to it. She picked it up again. Unlocked it. Read the notification once more. Then she placed it down again. Her fingers tapped lightly on the table. For the first time in a long time, she was thinking carefully. Not about comfort. Not about control. But about risk. Her son. He trusted her. Completely. He had never questioned her. Never doubted her. But if he received that message? Her thoughts stopped there. She stood up slowly. Walked toward the window. Looked outside. The compound was quiet. Peaceful. Stable. Everything built over time. Everything maintained carefully. She turned back to the table. Picked up the phone again. And this time, she opened his contact. Her finger hovered over the call button. Then she stopped. No. Calling now would raise questions. Instead, she began typing. Everything is still fine here. Do not believe any strange message. Some people are trying to create confusion. Focus on your duty. She read it once. Then she sent it. Far away, Sonny's phone vibrated again. He looked down immediately. A message. From his mother. He opened it. Read it. Once. Twice. His face did not change much. But something inside him shifted. Not calm. Not relief. Something else. The two messages stood in his mind side by side. One from his wife. One from his mother. Both speaking different truths. Both asking for belief. But only one felt real. He looked at the message again. We have nothing. Your child is starving. Those words carried weight. Pain. Reality. His mother's message felt different. Too smooth. Too controlled. Too familiar. He exhaled slowly. Then he spoke under his breath. I need to hear her voice. He walked quickly toward the communication area. There was a small spot where the signal was sometimes stronger. Other soldiers were already there, trying to send messages or make quick calls. He waited. Then stepped forward when it was his turn. He tried again. Dialing. Waiting. The line struggled. Static. Silence. Then it cut. He tried again. And again. Nothing. His frustration grew. But this time, it was not just about the signal. It was about everything. About the years. About the trust. About the possibility that everything he had believed was wrong. A soldier beside him looked over. Bad network. Sonny nodded slightly. Yeah. The man shrugged. It happens. Try later. Sonny stepped back. But his mind did not step back. It moved forward. Faster. Stronger. If he could not call her, then he needed another way. Back in the village, the sky was beginning to change color. Evening was approaching. The room grew darker again. But this time, the silence felt different. The mother sat beside her son, her hand still resting on him. Mama Ada sat near the doorway. Neither of them spoke much. They were both waiting. Not for something certain, but for something possible. Then suddenly, the boy moved. A little stronger this time. His eyes opened wider. He looked up at his mother. "Ma," he whispered. Her breath caught. Yes, I am here. I am hungry." The words were soft, but clear. Her heart tightened. "I know," she said gently. "I know." Mama Ada stood up quickly. "I will get something," she said, stepping outside. The mother held her son closer. "We will be okay," she whispered. But this time, the words felt different. Not empty. Not broken. Something had started. Something was moving. Far away, Sonny sat alone now. The sky above him was dark again. The stars were back. But they did not feel calm anymore. He held his phone tightly. His mind was no longer divided. The doubt was gone. In its place was something stronger. Clear. Direct. He spoke quietly. "Tomorrow." The word settled in the air. "I will find the truth." And this time, he meant it. The night passed slowly, but not quietly. Inside the small house, every sound felt louder than it should. The soft breathing of the boy. The occasional movement of Mama Ada as she adjusted her seat. The faint wind brushing against the broken window. Everything carried weight, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The mother did not sleep. Her body was tired, her eyes burned, but her mind refused to rest. The message had been sent. That alone had changed something. It had broken the silence that had trapped her for so long. But now, a new tension had taken its place. Waiting. Not the kind of waiting she had known before. This was different. This was sharp, alive, filled with uncertainty. She looked down at her son. He had eaten a little again, thanks to Mama Ada. Not enough to make him strong, but enough to keep him from slipping away. His breathing was still weak, but it no longer sounded like it could stop at any moment. She brushed her fingers gently across his forehead. "I will not let anything happen to you," she whispered. Her voice was quiet, but it carried something stronger now. Resolve. Far away, the camp was already awake before sunrise. The air was cooler, but tension still hung everywhere. Soldiers moved quickly, preparing for another operation. Orders were being given. Vehicles were being checked. Weapons were being loaded. Sonny stood near the edge of the camp, his eyes fixed on the horizon. He had not slept either. Not really. His body had rested, but his mind had been moving all night. The message replayed again and again. The words. The tone. The desperation. Then his mother's message. Calm. Controlled. Dismissive. He knew both voices. He had trusted both voices. But now, they no longer matched. A fellow soldier approached him. "You look like you didn't sleep," the man said. Sonny gave a short nod. "I didn't." "Something wrong?" Sonny hesitated. Then he spoke. "My family," he said. "Something is not right." The man leaned against a nearby crate. "Did you talk to them?" "I tried," Sonny replied. "No connection." The man shrugged slightly. "You know how it is here. Network comes and goes." Sonny nodded. "I know. But this feels different." The man studied him for a moment. "What are you going to do?" Sonny looked down at his phone. Then back up. "I need confirmation," he said. "Not from my mother." The man raised an eyebrow. "Then from who?" Sonny did not answer immediately. Because the truth was simple. He did not know. Back in the village, the morning came again. The sun rose slowly, bringing light into the room. The boy was still asleep. His breathing was slightly stronger. Not enough to celebrate. But enough to continue. Mama Ada stood up and stretched carefully. "I will go and get more food," she said. The mother nodded. "Thank you." Mama Ada looked at her closely. "You are thinking too much," she said. The mother gave a small, tired smile. "I have to." Mama Ada shook her head slightly. "Thinking is good. But action is better." The words stayed behind as she left. The mother looked at her son again. Then she looked around the room. There was nothing left to sell. Nothing left to trade. Nothing left to use. Except one thing. The truth. And she had already started using it. Across the compound, things were no longer as relaxed. Mama Sonny sat alone again. Her phone was in her hand. Unlocked. She had read the conversation multiple times. Her message. No reply yet. That was unusual. Her son always replied. Even if it was short. Even if it was delayed. But he replied. Now, nothing. She tapped the table lightly. Her daughter walked in. "You are quiet this morning," she said. Mama Sonny looked up. "He has not replied." The daughter paused. "To what?" "The message I sent him." The daughter frowned slightly. "That is strange." Mama Sonny nodded. "Yes." A moment passed. Then the daughter spoke again. "Do you think he received something else?" The question was simple. But it carried weight. Mama Sonny's eyes shifted slightly. "I do not know," she said. The daughter stepped closer. "If he did, what will you do?" Mama Sonny did not answer right away. Because this was the first time the situation felt like it was moving beyond her control. Far away, Sonny stood near the communication area again. This time, he did not wait. He moved directly to the front. "I need access," he said firmly. The operator looked up. "Everyone needs access," the man replied. "I need it now," Sonny said, his tone steady but strong. The operator studied him for a moment. Then he sighed. "Make it quick." Sonny nodded. He stepped forward and took the device. This system had slightly better reach. Not perfect. But better. He entered a number. Not his mother's. A different one. A number he had not used in a long time. An old contact. A man from his village. Someone who knew people. Someone who was not directly involved. The line rang. Once. Twice. Then it connected. A voice answered. "Hello." Sonny took a breath. "It is me," he said. There was a pause. "Sonny." "Yes." "It has been a long time," the voice replied. "I need information," Sonny said immediately. The tone changed. "What kind of information?" My wife, Sonny said. My child. How are they? Silence. Not long. But long enough. Sonny's grip tightened. Answer me, he said. The voice on the other end hesitated. Then finally spoke. I do not know everything, he said slowly. But I have heard things. Sonny's chest tightened. What things? They are not okay. The words landed hard. How bad? Sonny asked. Another pause. Then the answer came. Very bad. Everything inside him went still. No confusion. No doubt. No more questions about what might be true. This was it. This was the crack. The moment when trust breaks. Not loudly. Not suddenly. But completely. Sonny closed his eyes briefly. Then opened them again. And when he spoke, his voice had changed. I am coming home, he said. The words were calm. But final. And for the first time since he left, the war around him was no longer his biggest concern. The real battle was somewhere else. And he was already moving toward it. The decision did not come with noise. There was no dramatic moment, no raised voice, no argument. It came quietly, but it settled inside Sonny with a weight that could not be moved. I am coming home. Those words stayed with him long after the call ended. He stood there for a moment, still holding the device, his mind no longer searching for answers. The answers had already found him. Now, there was only one thing left to do. Move. He handed the device back without saying anything and walked away from the communication area. The camp around him continued as usual. Orders were still being shouted. Engines were still running. Men were still preparing for another day in a place where nothing was guaranteed. But for Sonny, something had shifted. The mission in front of him no longer felt like his only duty. There was something else now. Something urgent. Something personal. He walked straight toward the command tent. Each step was steady, controlled, but inside him, everything was moving faster than ever. His thoughts were clear now, sharper than they had been in a long time. His wife. His son. Starving. The words echoed again. Not rumors. Not exaggeration. Real. And that meant every day he stayed here, something worse could happen. He reached the tent and stopped briefly before entering. Inside, his commanding officer stood over a table, studying a map. A few other soldiers were nearby, discussing movements and positions. Sonny stepped forward. Sir. The officer looked up. Yes. I need to request leave, Sonny said. The room went quiet for a second. The officer's expression changed slightly. This is not a good time, he replied. You know the situation. I understand, Sonny said. But this is urgent. The officer studied him more closely. Explain. Sonny hesitated for just a second. Then he spoke. My family is not safe. The words were simple. But they carried everything. The officer leaned back slightly. What do you mean not safe? I received information, Sonny said. My wife and child are in a bad condition. They have nothing. I need to go and see it myself. One of the other soldiers shifted slightly, listening. The officer crossed his arms. Information from who? A trusted source, Sonny replied. And your mother? The officer asked. You usually receive updates from her. Sonny's jaw tightened. That is part of the problem, he said. The officer remained silent for a moment. Then he spoke again. You know how this works, he said. We cannot just release soldiers whenever they want. There are procedures. I am not asking without reason, Sonny replied. I have served here without complaint. I have completed every assignment given to me. I have stayed when others requested to leave. I have done everything required. His voice was calm. But firm. This is the first time I am asking for something like this. The officer looked at him for a long moment. Then he turned slightly, glancing at the others in the room. They said nothing. He turned back. How long? He asked. Enough to confirm their situation and fix it, Sonny said. No more than necessary. The officer exhaled slowly. This is not ideal, he said. I know. But if what you are saying is true? He paused. Then nodded slightly. You will get limited leave, he said. But you move fast. You do what you need to do and return? Sonny's shoulders lowered slightly. Thank you, sir. This is not a vacation, the officer added. Do not waste time. I will not. The officer nodded. Prepare yourself. You leave as soon as transport is available. Sonny gave a short nod. Then turned and walked out. Outside, the air felt different. Not lighter. But clearer. The path ahead was no longer uncertain. It was direct. Straight. And he was already on it. Back in the village, the day moved slowly again. The mother sat beside her son, helping him drink a little water. His strength was still low, but his eyes were more open now. He looked at her. More. Yes, she said softly. Will Papa come? The question stopped her for a moment. She looked at him. His face was thin. His voice weak. But his eyes still carried hope. She swallowed. Then she nodded gently. Yes, she said. He will come. The words came out without hesitation. Not because she was sure. But because she needed to believe it. Mama Ada returned with more food. Small portions. Carefully managed. This will help him, she said, placing it down. The mother nodded. Thank you. Mama Ada looked at her. Any response? The mother shook her head. No. Mama Ada sighed. He will see it, she said. Men like him do not ignore things like that. The mother did not reply. She just looked at her son. Waiting. Across the compound, the calm was starting to break. Not outside. Not visibly. But inside. Mama Sonny sat with her phone again. Still no reply. Her daughter walked in quickly this time. He still has not answered, she asked. No. The daughter frowned. That is not normal. I know, Mama Sonny replied. The daughter paced slightly. What if he tries to call someone else? The thought hung in the air. Heavy. Real. Mama Sonny's fingers tightened around the phone. He will not, she said. But this time, her voice was not as steady. Far away, preparations were already moving. Sonny packed quickly. He did not take much. Just what was necessary. His movements were efficient, focused. No hesitation. No delay. A fellow soldier approached him. You got leave? Sonny nodded. Yeah. Everything okay? Sonny paused for a moment. Then answered honestly. I do not know. The man nodded slowly. Go and find out. Sonny picked up his bag. I will. The journey began before the sun fully set. Transport was limited, but he secured a spot. The vehicle was not comfortable. It was not smooth. But it moved. And that was enough. He sat inside, his bag beside him, his phone in his hand. The road stretched ahead. Long. Uncertain. But leading somewhere important. He looked down at the message again. The same words. Still heavy. Still real. Then he looked out the window. The land passed by slowly. Dry fields. Empty roads. Small signs of life here and there. Each moment brought him closer. Closer to the truth. Closer to what had been hidden. Closer to what he needed to face. Back in the village, night returned. The small house was quiet again. The mother sat beside her son. Mama Ada rested nearby. The air was still. But different. Something was moving. Even if they could not see it yet. And somewhere on the road, in the darkness, Sonny continued his journey. Not knowing exactly what he would find. But knowing one thing for sure. Nothing would remain hidden much longer. Morning came with a strange kind of stillness. The sky was clear, the air was calm, but something underneath it all felt different. It was not visible. It was not loud. But it was there, waiting, building, moving towards something that could no longer be stopped. Inside the small house, the mother sat beside her son, holding a cup of water close to his lips. His hands trembled slightly as he tried to drink, but he managed a little. It was not much, but it was enough to keep him present, enough to keep him from slipping away. She watched him closely, her eyes following every movement, every breath. "You are strong," she whispered. "Stay with me." His eyes met hers for a moment. Weak. But alive. Across the room, Mama Ada stood near the doorway, looking outside. "People are talking," she said quietly. The mother did not look up. "About what?" "About you," Mama Ada replied. "About yesterday. About you going to that house." The mother closed her eyes briefly. "Of course. Nothing stayed hidden in a place like this." "What are they saying?" she asked. Mama Ada hesitated. "That you caused trouble," she said. "That you came to accuse your husband's family." The mother nodded slowly. "I did not cause trouble," she said. "I only spoke the truth." Mama Ada turned and looked at her. "I know," she said. "But not everyone wants to hear the truth." The words settled in the room. Heavy. Real. Across the compound, the mood had shifted. Not loud. Not chaotic. But tense. Mama Sonny sat outside now, her eyes fixed on the gate. Her phone was still in her hand, but she was no longer looking at it. Her daughter stood beside her. "You are worried," the daughter said. "I am thinking," Mama Sonny replied. "They are the same thing right now," the daughter said. Mama Sonny did not respond. Because this time, she knew something was different. The silence from her son had stretched too long. Too far. And now, even she could not ignore it. On the road, the vehicle moved steadily. Sonny had not spoken much since the journey began. The other passengers talked quietly among themselves, but he remained focused, his eyes fixed ahead. Every passing mile tightened something inside him. He replayed everything. The message. The call. The confirmation. The silence from his mother. All of it pointed in one direction. Something had been hidden. And now, he was close enough to uncover it. He checked his phone again. Still no new message. He exhaled slowly. Then leaned back slightly. The road stretched ahead. But not for long. Back in the village, the sun climbed higher. The day moved forward. And with it, the tension. The mother adjusted her son's position gently, making sure he was comfortable. Mama Ada stepped inside again. "You should eat something," she said. The mother shook her head. "I am not hungry." "You need strength," Mama Ada insisted. The mother looked at her. "I will eat later." Mama Ada sighed but did not argue further. Instead, she sat down beside her. "We will get through this," she said. The mother nodded slowly. Yes. But her mind was not calm. It was moving. Waiting. Feeling something she could not explain. Across the compound, the daughter stepped closer to the gate. She looked outside, scanning the road. Nothing yet. But the feeling remained. "He will come," she said suddenly. Mama Sonny looked at her. "You do not know that." "I feel it," the daughter replied. Mama Sonny's grip tightened on her phone. "If he comes, we will handle it," she said. But this time, the words did not carry the same certainty. The vehicle slowed. Then stopped. Sonny stepped out. The ground beneath his feet felt familiar. The air felt different. Closer. He adjusted his bag on his shoulder and looked ahead. The village. His village. Nothing had changed. But everything had. He started walking. Each step steady. Each step carrying weight. He did not rush. He did not hesitate. He moved forward. Word spread quickly. Someone saw him. Then another. Then another. By the time he reached the main path, people were already whispering. "He is back. The soldier. He came." The sound moved faster than he did. Inside the small house, Mama Ada turned suddenly. "Someone is coming," she said. The mother looked up. Her heart began to beat faster. Not from fear. From something else. She stood slowly. Her legs felt weak. But she stood. Then the shadow appeared at the doorway. Tall. Still. Familiar. For a moment, no one spoke. No one moved. The air froze. Then he stepped inside. Sonny. His eyes moved quickly across the room. The walls. The floor. The empty space. Then they stopped. On his son. Lying weak. On the mat. Then on his wife. Thin. Tired. Changed. Everything inside him went silent. Not calm. Not soft. But still. Too still. His bag slipped slightly from his shoulder and hit the ground. No one picked it up. He took one step forward. Then another. His eyes did not leave them. What? He started. But the word did not finish. Because he already saw it. He already felt it. The truth did not need to be explained. It was right in front of him. His wife tried to speak. But her voice did not come out. Tears filled her eyes instead. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet. Deep. Real. Their son moved slightly. "Papa," he whispered. The word broke everything. Sonny dropped to his knees. Right there. Beside them. His hands trembled as he reached forward. He touched his son's face. Then his wife's hand. Cold. Too cold. His breathing changed. Not fast. Not slow. But heavy. Each breath carrying something he could not hold back anymore. He looked at her. And when he spoke, his voice was no longer the same. Who did this? The question was quiet. But it carried everything. And this time, there was no more waiting. No more silence. No more distance. Everything had come together. And nothing would stay hidden anymore. The room held its breath. No one moved. No one spoke immediately. The question had already filled the space completely. Who did this? Sonny's voice was low, but it carried something heavier than anger. It carried certainty. It carried pain. It carried a quiet force that could not be ignored. His wife looked at him. For a moment, she did not answer. Not because she did not know what to say. But because saying it out loud would make everything real in a way that could not be taken back. Her lips trembled slightly. Her fingers tightened around the edge of her wrapper. She looked down at their son. Then back at him. "It was not you," she said softly. The words came out slowly, carefully. "I thought, maybe you forgot us. Maybe something happened. But it was not you." Sonny's jaw tightened. He leaned closer. "Then who?" he asked again. This time, his voice carried more weight. More pressure. The kind that demands truth. His wife swallowed. They said you were sending money." Sonny froze. "They said everything was fine," she continued. "They told me to be patient. They told me not to worry." His eyes darkened. "Who told you that?" She hesitated again. Then she said it. "Your mother." The words dropped heavily. And they did not stop there. "And your sister." Silence followed. But it was no longer empty. It was full. Full of realization. Full of confirmation. Full of everything that had been building since the message. Sonny did not move for a moment. His hand slowly dropped from his son's face. His breathing deepened. His eyes lowered briefly, then lifted again. This time, there was no confusion left. Only truth. Mama Ada stepped forward quietly. "I saw everything," she said. "Not with my own eyes at first. But I saw what was happening here. And yesterday, she went there herself." Sonny turned slightly. "To their house," Mama Ada continued. She asked them. They did not deny it. The room went still again. Sonny's head lowered slightly. He pressed his lips together. His shoulders rose as he took a deep breath. Then he stood up. Slowly. Carefully. But there was nothing calm about it. His wife reached out weakly. "Sonny." He looked down at her. "I will come back," he said. His voice was controlled. But it carried something dangerous underneath. "I will fix this." She wanted to say more. But she could not. Because she saw it in his eyes. This was no longer just about pain. This was about truth. Outside, the village had already begun to gather. People stood in small groups, whispering, watching. They had heard. The soldier had returned. And not quietly. Not gently. Something was about to happen. Sonny walked down the path. Each step firm. Each step direct. He did not look around. He did not slow down. He moved like a man who had already decided what needed to be done. And the path led to one place. The compound. At the gate, he stopped. Just for a second. He looked at it. The tall fence. The clean paint. The sign of comfort. Then he pushed it open. Hard. The sound echoed. Inside, Mama Sonny and her daughter turned at the same time. They had been waiting. But not like this. Not with this kind of presence. Sonny stepped in. His eyes moved across the yard. Then stopped on them. No greeting. No pause. Just silence. Heavy. Sharp. Mama Sonny stood up slowly. My son. But the words did not go far. Because his expression stopped them. He took a few steps closer. The daughter shifted slightly, her confidence not as strong as before. When did you come? She asked, trying to sound normal. Sonny did not answer. He stopped a few feet away. Then he spoke. You said everything was fine. The words were simple. But they carried weight. Mama Sonny opened her mouth. But nothing came out immediately. I asked you, he continued. I trusted you. Her voice finally came. Yes, everything is. Do not lie. The interruption was sharp. Direct. Final. The daughter looked between them. Why are you speaking like this? She said. What is the problem? Sonny turned his head slowly. His eyes met hers. The problem, he repeated. Then he let out a short breath. You want to know the problem? He stepped closer. You ate while my son starved. The words hit hard. No one spoke. You lived well while my wife had nothing. Still silence. I sent money, he continued. Every month. Every time I could. I trusted you to deliver it. His voice did not rise. But it became heavier. Where is it? The question landed. Clear. Unavoidable. Mama Sonny looked away briefly. Then back at him. We used it for the family, she said. The same words. The same excuse. But now, they sounded different. Because now, they had consequences. Sonny nodded slowly. For the family, he repeated. Then he took another step. Is my son not your family? No answer. Is my wife not your family? Silence again. The daughter tried to speak. You do not understand. I understand everything. His voice cut through. Sharp. Controlled. Dangerous. You lied to me, he said. No one denied it. You took what was not yours. Still no denial. And you left them to suffer. The truth stood there. Uncovered. Clear. Mama Sonny's face tightened. We did what we thought was best, she said. Sonny looked at her. Long. Deep. Then he spoke again. You thought wrong. The words were calm. But final. The daughter stepped forward slightly. You cannot speak to us like this. Sonny turned to her. You will not speak. The command was immediate. And she stopped. Because for the first time, she saw something she had not seen before. Not just anger. But authority. And something else. Something that could not be controlled. The air felt different now. The balance had shifted. The truth was no longer hidden. And the power had changed hands. Sonny stood there. Looking at them. Not as a son. Not as someone who trusted them. But as a man who had just seen everything clearly. And nothing would ever be the same again. The compound had never felt this quiet. Not even at night. Not even when no one was around. This silence was different. It was heavy, tense, filled with something that could not be undone. Sonny stood in front of them, his shoulders straight, his eyes steady. The man who had once walked into this house with respect, with trust, with the belief that this place was part of his foundation, was no longer standing there. Something had changed. Completely. Mama Sonny looked at him carefully. Not as a mother, but as someone trying to measure what was left. My son, she began again, her voice softer this time. But Sonny did not move. He did not respond to the tone, because the words no longer carried weight. Do not call me that, he said quietly. The sentence landed harder than anything before it. The daughter froze. Mama Sonny's face stiffened. What do you mean? She asked, her voice tightening. Sonny's gaze did not shift. I mean, he said slowly, do not call me your son when you could watch my child starve and do nothing. The truth settled heavily in the air. There was no argument strong enough to push it away. No explanation that could soften it. The daughter stepped forward, her voice rising. You are exaggerating everything. They were not starving like that. She is just making it look worse. Enough. Sonny did not raise his voice. But it cut through everything. Sharp. Final. She stopped immediately. Because this time, she understood. This was not a conversation she could control. Sonny turned back to Mama Sonny. I sent money, he said again. Every time I could. Sometimes I went without food so I could send more. I stayed alive in places where people die every day, because I believed my family was safe. His voice remained steady. But his words carried the weight of every moment he had endured. I believed you. Mama Sonny's eyes shifted. For the first time, something close to discomfort appeared. We did not mean for things to go that far, she said. Sonny nodded slowly. But they did. Silence. We thought she would manage, the daughter added quickly. She is a woman. She should be able to handle things. Sonny turned his head. Slowly. His eyes met hers again. And my child, he asked. The question stopped her. Completely. No answer came. Because there was none. Sonny looked between them. Then he took a step back. Just one. But it created distance. Clear. Intentional. I came here for the truth, he said. Now I have it. Mama Sonny stepped forward. What are you saying? Sonny's expression did not change. I am saying this ends here. The daughter frowned. What ends? This, Sonny said, his hand moving slightly between them. Whatever you think we are. Mama Sonny's voice sharpened. You cannot speak like that. This is your family. Sonny shook his head once. No. The word was calm. But it carried finality. Family does not watch a child suffer when they have the means to help. No one spoke. Family does not lie for years while pretending everything is fine. Still silence. Family does not take what belongs to a child and use it for comfort. The words landed one after another. Each one removing something. Each one breaking something. Mama Sonny's lips pressed together. You are angry, she said. That is why you are speaking like this. Sonny looked at her. No, he replied. I am clear. That was worse. Because anger can pass. But clarity stays. The daughter folded her arms again, but this time it was weaker. So what now? She asked. Sonny did not hesitate. Now, I take care of my family. And we are not your family, she said. Sonny's eyes remained steady. No. The answer came without pause. Without doubt. And that was the moment everything broke. Not loudly. Not with shouting. But completely. Mama Sonny took a step forward. You will regret this, she said quietly. Sonny looked at her. No, he replied. I regret trusting you. The words settled deeply. There was nothing left to say. Nothing left to defend. Nothing left to hold on to. Sonny bent slightly and picked up a small envelope from his pocket. He placed it on the table in front of them. They both looked at it. What is that? The daughter asked. The last money you will ever see from me, Sonny said. Silence. If there is anything left in you that remembers what is right, use it to fix what you broke. Mama Sonny did not touch it. Neither did the daughter. Because they understood. This was not a gift. This was the end. Sonny turned. No hesitation. No looking back. He walked toward the gate. Each step steady. Each step final. The door opened. Then closed behind him. Outside, people were already watching. Whispers moved quickly. Eyes followed him. But he did not stop. He did not explain. He did not respond. Because nothing outside mattered right now. Only one place mattered. The small house. When he stepped inside, the air felt different again. Still quiet. Still simple. But real. His wife looked up immediately. Her eyes filled with something she could not hold back. Not fear. Not confusion. Relief. Sonny walked toward them slowly. He knelt down again beside his son. This time, his hands were steady. He touched his face gently. I am here, he said. His son looked at him. Tired. Weak. But smiling slightly. Papa. Sonny nodded. I am here. He looked at his wife. Her eyes were filled with tears, but she did not speak. She did not need to. Everything had already been said. Everything had already been understood. Sonny sat there with them. Close. Present. Real. And for the first time since he left for war, he was exactly where he needed to be. Outside, the village continued as usual. But inside that small house, something had changed. Not everything was fixed. Not yet. But the truth was no longer hidden. And the man who had been far away, fighting for his family, was finally home. And this time, he would not let anything take them away again. The night after Sonny returned was not peaceful. It was quiet, but not peaceful. Inside the small house, the air carried something heavy. Not the same weight of hunger and hopelessness as before, but something new. Something that came after truth had been exposed. The kind of silence that comes before change. Sonny sat on the floor beside his son, watching him sleep. His breathing was still weak, but stronger than before. Mama Ada had brought more food, more help, more care than anyone else had given in a long time. Sonny's eyes did not leave his son. Every small movement mattered now. Every breath. Every sign of life. His wife sat close, leaning against the wall, her eyes half closed. She had eaten a little. Not much. But enough to bring a small color back to her face. For the first time in a long time, she was not alone. Sonny spoke quietly. I will not let this happen again. His wife opened her eyes slowly. I know, she said. There was no doubt in her voice. Because she had seen it. Not just in his words. But in his actions. Morning came with movement. Not whispers. Not silence. But movement. By midday, word had spread across the village. Not just that Sonny had returned. But what had happened. What had been done. And what had been revealed. People gathered. Not in small groups this time. But openly. Because this was no longer just a family matter. This was something else. Something that touched everyone. At the center of the village, under the large tree where elders often met, people began to sit. Men. Women. Voices low at first. Then louder. Mama Ada stood among them. She had spoken. She had told what she saw. What she knew. And others began to speak too. Things that had been noticed. Things that had been ignored. Now, they came out. Mama Sonny and her daughter did not expect it. They thought it would end at the compound. They thought it would stay quiet. But it did not. By the time they heard the voices gathering, it was already too late. They stepped outside. People were looking. Not with respect. Not with fear. But with judgment. Sonny walked into the gathering. Not fast. Not slow. But steady. His wife stood at a distance, supported by Mama Ada. His son was resting inside, under watch. This was not a moment for noise. This was a moment for truth. One of the elders spoke. Sonny, he said. We have heard what happened. Sonny nodded. I did not come to cause trouble, he replied. I came to protect my family. The elder looked at him carefully. And what you say, is it true? Sonny did not look away. Yes. The elder turned. Mama Sonny stood there. Her daughter beside her. Do you deny it? The elder asked. Silence. The kind of silence that confirms everything. The daughter tried to speak. This is being blown out of. Be quiet. The elder's voice was firm. She stopped. Mama Sonny looked around. For the first time, she saw it clearly. There was no support. No one standing with her. No one defending her. Because truth had a way of removing everything that was false. The elder spoke again. You took what was not yours, he said. You allowed a child to suffer while you had more than enough. Mama Sonny's lips moved. But no words came. This is not just wrong, the elder continued. This is a betrayal of trust. A betrayal of family. A betrayal of everything that holds us together. The words settled over everyone. Heavy. Clear. Final. Sonny stood still. He did not interrupt. He did not push. Because this was not about anger anymore. This was about truth standing on its own. The elder looked at him. What do you want to happen? Sonny paused. Then he spoke. I want my family to live without fear. Without hunger. Without lies. Simple. Direct. Real. The elder nodded slowly. That will happen, he said. Then he turned back to Mama Sonny. You will return what you took. Her head lifted slightly. What if we cannot? She asked quietly. The elder's expression did not change. Then you will lose what you built with it. Silence. Complete. The daughter stepped back slightly. For the first time, her confidence was gone. Because now, there were consequences. Not hidden. Not avoidable. Real. Days passed. Not quickly. Not slowly. But with purpose. What had been taken began to return. Not everything. But enough. Enough to rebuild. Enough to start again. Sonny did not stay still. He moved. He worked. He planned. He made sure his wife and son were safe. Fed. Protected. He arranged for direct contact. No more middle hands. No more hidden paths. Everything clear. Everything direct. His son began to recover. Slowly. Step by step. Strength returned. Little by little. The smile came back. Small at first. Then real. His wife changed too. Not just physically. But inside. The fear that had lived in her eyes began to fade. Replaced by something stronger. Confidence. Presence. Life. And Sonny. He was no longer the man who simply trusted. He was the man who saw. Who acted. Who protected. As for Mama Sonny and her daughter, the compound no longer felt the same. The comfort had changed. The silence had changed. Because once truth enters a place built on lies, it never leaves it the same. One evening, as the sun began to set, Sonny sat outside the small house. His son played nearby, weak but laughing. His wife sat beside him. Quiet. Peaceful. Present. Sonny looked at them. Then he spoke softly. We will be all right. This time. It was not hope. It was truth. If this story touched you, moved you, or made you feel something real, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. What part stayed with you the most? What would you have done in its place? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Your support keeps these stories alive.